Hi, and welcome back to this week's Parshat Shir on Sefer Netivot Shalom. One of the 70-something mitzvahs found in this week's Parsha of Tetzei is the mitzvah of Ma'akeh, the mitzvah to build a guardrail around one's roof. The pasuk very logically says, Ki tivneh bayit chadash, v'asita ma'akeh legargacha. When you build a new home, you're obligated to put a guardrail around the roof. They used to go up on the roofs. They used to use their roofs for various functions, and so it'd be dangerous for people to walk around up there, and therefore you have to put a guardrail around the roof to place the right kind of safety measures there so that people won't fall off. V'lo tasim damim beveitecha ki yipo hanofel mimenu. So that you shouldn't place blood in your home, or instead of placing blood in your home as someone falls off the roof, you're obligated to put a makkah to be able to guard them from falling, to be able to guard them from danger. Bipshat pasuk makshim madua nemra mitzvahs makkah davka b'bayis chadash. Netivot Shalom says a very basic question on the pshat of the pasuk. Why would the pasuk single out the obligation of makkah in a bayis chadash? Ki tivneh bayis chadash v'asita makkah legargacha. Why is it that in a new home you have to put a guardrail around the roof when in truth you're obligated to put a guardrail around every roof, even if it's an old home, even if it's an acquired home, even if you've lived in the home for 25 years and never knew this mitzvah, you're still obligated to put up a guardrail. It's no only in a bayit chadash. V'chein tzarich bir. Furthermore, we need clarification. Madua nemra mitzvahs makkah dafka legargacha. Harehu adin lebor l'chol davar shehezeko matzui. We're not only obligated to put the right safety measures in place on our roof with a makkah in specific, but around any dangerous place that people could fall into or fall off of. If you have a bore, if you have a pit in the middle of an area where people walk, you'd also be obligated to put up a makkah or a guardrail of sorts. So why are we specifying gag, and why are we specifying bayit chadash? V'yesh lomar al derech ha'avoda al pi ma'amar maran admor Birkas Avraham Schusi again Aleinu. He says, I have to tell you a mahalech, a way to understand this pasuk and the analogy of this pasuk, based on the thinking of my father-in-law, the author of the Birkas Avraham. And he specifically comments on it in the pasuk in Yeshayahu, Ya'azov Rasha Darko V'ish Aved Machshevotav Yashov Al Hashem V'Rachameu V'Elokeinu Kirp Elislah. Pasuk in Yeshayahu speaks about tshuva, and it begins with Ya'azov Rasha Darko, that an evil person should abandon their ways. Hainu, says the Admor. The Admor says that what that pasuk means is Shelo dai sheyaseh tshuva al prat zeh o acher, ela yiznach legamrei es haderech shehalach ba ad ko, v'yikach atzmo lederech chadasha. That the whole process of tshuva does not only involve fixing individual flaws that one might find, but rather the whole broad approach to tshuva is Ya'azov Rasha Darko, that a Rasha should not abandon actions, but should abandon the derech, the pathway that he or she finds themselves on. They have to redo the whole derech, the whole journey of their life, rather than putting band-aids on individual problems. It's a very important point about tshuva in general, and there's much to say about it. But he uses this as a framework to try to understand our pasuk of Ki tivneh bayit chadash. V'zeu pirush Ki tivneh bayit chadash. The whole meaning of the pasuk, obviously in the plain meaning of the text, is obliging us to put a guardrail around our roof. But the reason it's phrased in this way, the reason bayis chadash is mentioned, the reason why it says gag in specific and not every other dangerous place, is because as a second message, the pasuk is trying to convey to us an analogy about the perfection of the human being and not just of the roof. Kasher Yehudi roeh shekol mahuso mufrachas uma yoil lo im yaseh tshuva al prat zeh acher v'chafetzu livnos bayis chadash. When a person realizes they're going wrong in this direction, that direction, they start to realize that they can put a band-aid here and there, it's never going to fix the problem, and they realize that what they need to do is build an entirely new structure, an entirely new derech, an entirely new framework for life. They have to build a bayis chadash. They have to build a new home. The new home of our pasuk is not just a new home that has a roof that needs a guardrail, but the new home of our pasuk is an analogy for the nature of building a new structure for one's life. When one realizes that their ship is sinking, then to patch this hole and that hole, eventually you realize it's not going to work. I patched that hole, water's coming in from there, water's spraying from here. running around the ship like a crazy person, expending so much effort to patch and to patch and to do, and nothing's working. You realize, got to abandon ship, build a new ship, buy a new ship, and set sail once again. The person realizes the same thing about their life. They're making infinite mistakes. You can fix this one and that one, but unless you get to the root problems and rebuild the structure of your life with the right underpinnings and the right safety measures, then it's never going to work. So there comes a time when you realize you need to build a Bayis Chadash as part of your journey in Tshuva, as part of your journey to come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when you realize that you have to build your Mahus Mechadash, your essence from scratch, Atzaso, the Eitzah, the guidance of the Torah is Kitivneh Bayit Chadash, when you're going to go along that venture, Vasita Ma'akeh Lekagecha. You have to make a guardrail to your roof. What is the rest of the analogy? What is a roof and what is a guardrail? Merames Lemidas Hayira, Kediisa B'Sifrei HaKadosh, Demakeh B'Gematria Yira. The Makeh that the Pasuk is speaking about, the analogy of the Makeh, is speaking about you building a new home, a new structure for your life surrounding the ideas of tshuva. When you do that, what you need to start with is with ma'akeh. Ma'akeh in gematria is yira. You need to start by inculcating within yourself the trait of awe of the world, of awe of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it's not just that there's a gematria, a numerical equivalence between ma'akeh and yira, but conceptually they are related as well. Because after all, what is a ma'akeh? A ma'akeh is a guardrail. A ma'akeh is a boundary. And what is yira? What is yira shamayim? What is awe of heaven induce? It induces a retreat to a certain level of boundary. What do you do when you're afraid of something? You retreat. You close into yourself. You create a perimeter. You create a boundary. Same thing with yiras Hashem. Of course, we don't fear God. Yira is not fear, it's awe. When you're in awe of God, you take a step back. You recoil into yourself. You create a boundary. You realize God is there and I am here. The idea of being bounded is the core of the trait of Yira. So, of course, Ma'akeh can act as an analogy or a remez to the trait of Yira that we're supposed to inculcate as the first building block of our Bayis Chadash, of the new structure of our lives. Inyan Ma'akeh hu gedarim v'siyagim. The whole idea of the Ma'akeh is to create perimeters and boundaries. Shezeh eitzah l'chitivneh Bayis Chadash. That is the advice of the Torah when a person is engaging in this venture of Bayis Chadash. K'mo shekasav Rav HaKadosh Ba'al Pri Ha'aretz, she'iyeh efshar la'adam lishvot al ta'avosav rak al yedei midas hayira. Many of the Balei Musar, many of the Sfarim explain one can never truly achieve control over their taivos, over the desires of this world, without the midah of yira, without the idea of awe, without the idea of boundaries. After all, we would fall all over the place into many pitfalls, and to many holes that we don't want to be in, if not for the boundaries that we put up in our lives. So that's the remez, that's the hint or the analogy of the Bayis Chadash, the venture of tshuva, rebuilding our lives. The analogy or the remez of Ma'akeh is that you start with siyagim, gidarim, fences, boundaries, which come about through the inculcation of the midah of yira, of awe, which naturally leads oneself to be more bounded and to be more guarded and to be more restricted. So now we have to have the final third piece of this analogy, of this remez, and that is gagecha. When you're making a Bayis Chadash, you start with a Ma'akeh, and where should the Ma'akeh begin? The gedarim, the yira that you inculcate should begin begagecha. Ve'inyan asita ma'akeh gagecha gag mirames al rosh ha'adam. Where do you have to start? You have to start with your head. The gag, the head of the house, top of the house, the roof of the house, is symbolic of the rosh ha'adam. When you build the Bayis Chadash of your personality, you have to start at the gag. You have to start at the top. You have to start at the roof. The Amar b'Sefer HaKadosh told us Yaakov Yosef, Reishis Avoda kasher tivneh Bayis Chadash, hi v'asisa ma'akeh lagagecha l'takenes harosh. Like they told us, Yaakov Yosef says, student of the Baal Shem Tov says, that you have to start the project of tshuva, the project of inculcating yira into your Bayis Chadash by starting at the top, with your head. Kideisa, sheyesh b'rosh zayin sharei degulgulasa, beis einayim, beis oznayim, beis nekvei achotem, v'hapeh. There are 7 entry points to the head. The head has 7 orifices. You have 2 ears, you have 2 eyes, you have 2 nostrils, and you have a mouth. One has to use the proper boundaries, the proper measure of yira at every one of those entry points to the Rosh, which is the beginning of the person. Shekol elu hen inyanim she'inam b'maaseh, v'ish eno yodea mizeh, rak habore yisbarach shema yodea kol maaseh b'nei adam v'chol machshavosam. All of those are entry points for everything that comes into our lives, everything that requires us to be bounded. Tafkid arishon uvasita magel agagecha, tikunei sharei harosh mipnei shekol inyanei adam pulosav tluim b'sharei degilgulusa. Everything is dependent upon these 7 orifices of the head. This is how everything gets inside us, not just physically inside our body, but into our personality. What we see, what we hear, what we breathe in, what enters our neshama, and what we eat, what we put in our mouths, defines who we are as people. And so that's the natural place to start in rebuilding our personality, is from those places. And with the right filters on those places, with the right outlook and lenses on those places, with the right boundaries on those places, we will learn to be proactive in terms of what we want to let in to that Bayis Chadash and what we don't want to let in to that Bayis Chadash. K'mamar Chazal, ha'ayin roa v'alev chomed v'klei ha'maseh gomrim sha'aschala hi ayin roa hakshura l'moch. As Chazal tell us, everything starts from the ayin roa, from the seeing eye, which is connected to the moach, connected to the brain, connected to the head, connected to everything going on in our bodies. Ve'yizeh yisod ha'tshuva. Ki tivnei bayit chadash livnos es atzmo mechadash mehamasad ve'ad ha'tefachot. When you want to build yourself from head to toe, from scratch, v'aschala hi v'asisa ma'kel agagecha b'midas ha'yira. The beginning, you start with your head, and you start with the trait of yira. That's the way we started as a people when we came close to Torah. The whole beginning feeling and emphasis in Matan Torah was yira, was awe. In Kabbalah Torah it says, "Vayecharad kol ha'am asher b'machaneh." We see the kolos, we see the brakim, the lightning, the thunder, the sound, the light, and we all were shaking. In yira, we were shaking in awe and fear. The mountain was bounded. It had gedarim, had siyagim. The whole venture of Torah begins with midas hayira. And so when you want to build a bayis chadash, when you want to restructure the nature of your derech, of your path, of your life, of course you started the same way. You start with boundaries and siyagim and with the retreat of yira. But there's a second layer of meaning, of remez, hint in the word gagecha, not just in terms of the place to start being your head and the 7 orifices of your head, but another aspect to rosh, the gagecha, as well. Od yesh shomer de kashem sheba adam yesh rosh, kach b'shana yesh rosh hashana, sho bechinas rosh shel hashana kula. Just like in the human being, you begin with the head. The head is the beginning of everything. That is the entry point to the body. So too there's a head to the year, and that is of course Rosh Hashanah, through which the entire year flows. And therefore, if you're building your Bayis Chadash in terms of your own personality, you start in terms of your own body, with your head, with the gag, with the top, by trying to have the right measure of yira in what you see and what you hear and what you taste and what you smell. But also you have to start, the starting point of Bayis Chadash is to begin the new year. So the head of the year, the gag of the year, the roof of the year, with the trait of yira as well. Kasher Yehudi rotze livnas zatzma bechinas bayis chadash b'Rosh Hashanah haderechi v'asisa ma'akel gagecha shiyochaz b'midas hayira b'yamim elu Rosh Hashanah. We also have to cling to this trait of yira, of awe, at this particular time of year, at the time of Rosh Hashanah. Kevan shelamala ham yemei din. Just like above in the heavens, the trait of yira, of din, of judgment is prevalent, so too here in our world we have to match that as well. And the pshat is that Rosh Hashanah, we're trying to rebuild ourselves. We start with the midah of yira, because it's only the midah of yira, that boundedness, that is able to preserve any measure of tshuva that we try to accomplish. V'hinei maran hakadosh mikobrin amar ki kol inyanei hatshuva tikunim zmanim b'chodesh elu ach b'Rosh Hashanah avodi lamluchei kodesh bricha kol ever ve'ever delay. The spiritual forebear of the Slonim, or line of the Slonim Chasidim, the Rebbe of Kobrin, explains that all of the tikkunim, all the tshuva, all the work, all the gedarim, all the boundedness, all the bais chadash, building ventures of creating a new derech for our lives, happens in the month of Elul. It all happens as a preparation for Rosh Hashanah, where the ventures of tshuva are suspended in order to do one thing and one thing alone, and that is to crown HaKadosh Baruch Hu as the king over the world, the king over us as people, the king over kol aver ve'aver delay, over every limb of our body. And so the month of Elul is the time, says the Slonim Rebbe, to build our Bayis Chadash in preparation for that great moment, in preparation for the moment where every piece of our body will be ready to crown HaKadosh Baruch Hu as king in the day of Malchios, in the day of judgment, in the day of Rosh Hashanah, which will truly be the first piece of our venture towards our Bayis Chadash, towards our new home, not just in terms of our preparation for that day, but for the year to come as well. Maybe we'll be successful in finding our path, in finding the methods to build our Bayis Chadash, and inculcating within ourselves a true sense of Yira, a true sense of boundedness, and of the distance that exists between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu that still remains to be closed. Shabbat Shalom.